Hi there, hello guys. Hello, hello, hello. Hello to all of you. Hi, nice to see you all. Hey. Hello guys, nice to see you. So, my name is Drew, for those of you who don't know me. I'm an English language consultant, English teacher. I'm usually here on Mondays, but this Monday my head felt like it was going to explode. So I'm here this week on Thursday, today. I hope you've had a fantastic week. I have not, but I'm feeling much better today. Nice to see all of you so early. Today we are, let me just center this. Okay, today we are going to discuss something that's quite a large topic. I'm fine, thank you for asking. I'm much better, thank you. We're going to discuss something that's quite a large topic, quite varied, and we use it in many different ways. It's probably going to be a little bit larger than I had anticipated, because to explain it I need to explain other things as well. But we're going to be talking about prepositions. Yes, so those small words that come in between bigger words, the ones where we never know which one quite to use, and sometimes you can use more than one, but yes, prepositions. We're going to start by looking at time prepositions, so prepositions of time. Then we're going to look at prepositions of place, and then we've got verb plus preposition, and then phrasal verbs, and then we'll see where we are when we get to the end, if we've got any time for anything else. If you have any questions, as usual, please ask me. I'm always happy to hear and answer your questions. Without further ado, let's get started. So, time prepositions. How we're going to do this is I'm going to talk about the preposition, and I'm going to talk about how we use it. I'm going to try to talk about the ones that are a little bit easier, the ones that you should know already. So it would be like a refresher for most of you. So to begin with, at. Okay, now related to time. When we use at, we can be talking about the exact time. So, I start work at 9 o'clock. At 9 o'clock, at 9 p.m. In English, we don't really use the 24-hour clock, so we don't say at 2100 hours. If you are, for example, travelling, so if you're travelling by public transport or by plane or by coach, something like this, then it's quite possible when you go to the airport, it's normally in 24 hours, but when we speak to each other, we just say at 6:30 p.m, at 6:30. We would tend to use AM and PM to distinguish if it's in the morning or if it's in the evening. So, at 10 o'clock. Now, we say at night. At night. And this is different from other times of the day, because we usually use in, but we say at night. So, we would say, I go to sleep at night. Next, and this differs a little bit. I talked about British and American English and how they can differ from each other. Now, normally or all the time in Britain we say at the weekend. At the weekend. So the weekend, this is Saturday and Sunday. Some people want to include Friday, but Saturday and Sunday, this is the weekend, and we say at the weekend. There are some, in particular the Americans, who will say on the weekend. For me, this is a little bit strange to hear. So I'm going to teach you what I feel is more natural and grammatically correct for me, and that's at the weekend. At the weekend. There is also an expression that we use, which a lot of you may be familiar with, and this is at the moment. At the moment. What are you doing at the moment? Okay. So let's move on to, yes, the big one, on. On. When we talk about on related to time, hi guys, when we talk about on related to time, it's to do with days. So on Monday, on Wednesday, on Thursday, we always use on. If we're talking about a particular date, we use on as well. So on the 21st of September. And if you think about it, if we're going to talk about the time and then we're going to talk about an exact date, it would be at 7 p.m. on the 21st of September. So on when we are talking about time. Days, excuse me, when we're talking about days. Now, something that confuses a few people, if I can say on Monday, and I mean the Monday coming, or I can also mean the Monday that's gone past. Let me try to explain this for you. You need to consider that the week starts on Monday and finishes on Sunday. So, if today is Thursday, and I can say I went to the cinema on Wednesday, and I'm talking about Wednesday this week, so yesterday. I'm so glad you enjoy English. It's a great language to learn. And I can also say I'm going to the cinema on Wednesday, but that will mean the Wednesday next week. So it depends how you put it. Also confusing is when we are talking about this, next, and last. This, next, and last. So this is very important for me to mention. They're not prepositions, but it's important when you come to understanding when to use on and when not to use on. So, when I'm talking about this, let's say this Wednesday, I'm talking about yesterday. If I'm talking about next Friday, I'm not talking about tomorrow. I'm talking about the Friday of next week. If I say last Tuesday, I'm not talking about Tuesday 2 weeks ago. I'm talking about Tuesday the previous week. So you have last, this, and next. So everything that's during this, you can say on. So on Monday, on Tuesday, it just depends where you are in the week. As I said, we're on Thursday. I went to the cinema. I wouldn't say on Wednesday because I would say yesterday. I went to the cinema on Tuesday. I'm going to the doctor on Monday. I can also say I'm going to the doctor next Monday. And I went to the cinema this Tuesday. I hope that clears a few things up for you. And as I said before, the Americans, they do sometimes say on the weekend. It's not really natural for me to say this, but in my capacity as an English teacher, I'm compelled to tell you that there are some native speakers that will say on the weekend, not in the UK, not in the UK. Okay, next, also very big. And remember, guys, we are just talking about time prepositions at the moment. Okay, in. So, when do we use in? We use in when we are talking about, firstly, months of the year. So, in June, we are going on holiday. We are going on holiday in June. In September, my cousin has a birthday. So months of the year, we use in. Also, when we're talking about actual years. So in 2014, in 1999, in the year 2024, we use in. Now, previously, I said that we say at night, and the rest of the times of days we say in. So, exactly this, we say in the morning. I go to work in the morning. In the afternoon, I have lunch in the afternoon. Hello. And in the evening, I watch TV in the evening. In the morning, in the afternoon, in the evening, and at night. So night is a little bit special. Going back to months of the year, because this is similar to days of the week, we can also use this, next, and last. So, instead of saying in August, I'm going to start college, you can say this August. Instead of in January 2018, you can say last January. And very importantly, and I should have mentioned this before, when you use this, next, and last, you remove the preposition. You don't use the preposition. So with days of the week, you don't say on next Monday. You just say next Monday or on Monday. And when it comes to months of the year, instead of saying on this November, you either say this November or in November. In is the preposition for months of the year. Excuse me. Good. Years. When we talk about years, we also use the preposition in. In 2018, in 1999, I did mention this. Sorry, I'm repeating myself. So, seasons. In the summer, in the winter, in the autumn, and in the spring. The Americans will call the autumn fall. So they will say in fall. So it rains in the summer. It snows. This is, I'm talking about a British perspective. It rains in the summer. It snows in the winter. So the preposition for the seasons, also in. In the evenings in June 1999. Now, also related to time, I want to study American English. Okay, I wouldn't say that There are very small differences between British and American English, such as the accents, certain words. Living this side of the world, I would recommend more British English, but then you can look at both and you can look at the similarities and the differences, and you can choose which you prefer. In a business sense, and also when it comes to studying, then British English will be better unless you're in North America. But yes, good luck. Okay, so when we are talking, do we use the before seasons? It depends on the situation. For example, if I'm talking generally, I can say summer is lovely in Chicago. Summer is lovely in Chicago. But if I'm talking about it also, I would say the summer. I could also say the summer is lovely in Chicago. The summer is great. I would say 75% of the time you should use the. It's quite important. And I know that the can be we talked about this, it can be quite problematic for Russian speakers, but yes, the summer. When's your holiday? In the summer. And you cannot say in summer. When we speak, and we speak casually, so if I'm speaking to a friend, or if I'm speaking, especially if it's the younger teenagers and they tend to abuse language, they can sometimes say things incorrectly because it's cool. But yes, try to include the summer, the winter, the spring, and the autumn. And when we are talking about a period of time, so for example, I haven't eaten goulash in 3 years. I haven't done something in 3 years. Or this is the first time I've been here in, I don't know, in 6 months. Then we use in. Okay, I know a lot of you are thinking for. It is possible, but we haven't started talking about for yet. Okay, on, in, at, I'm going to quickly talk about since. It's a time preposition, and I think it's important for you to understand it. So, as we keep on talking about, England have not won the World Cup since 1966. So when you use since, you first point at the time in the past where something happened or didn't happen, and then you say since then. And it doesn't have to be a long time. It could be I haven't had any coffee since this afternoon. How to find a seasonal job in America. Oof. If you don't mind doing something like farming or picking fruit or something like that, it's quite easy to take a working holiday or working vacation, and you can go over to America and you can pick fruit, make friends, and I'm not sure what the visa guides are. I'm assuming it's about 3 months. And then you need to think about applying to get a working visa. Very important. I don't want to get you thrown out of the United States. But yes, and I'm sure that there are sites that you can search and find summer holiday, summer vacation work in the United States. Good luck. Okay, that was since. Okay, now we're going to talk about for. So I have, or I haven't done something for a certain amount of time. So, I haven't seen Tina for an hour. I haven't seen Tina for an hour. Hi guys, welcome. I'm afraid I don't speak Russian or any other languages. Well, I do, but not Russian, and I don't understand the characters, so you'll have to write to me in English. 4. It shows, we use it to show an amount of time. I haven't eaten for, and remember it's quite similar to when I used in. I haven't eaten for 2 hours, or I haven't been there for a certain amount of time, for years. We say for years. I haven't done this for years, and sometimes we use this quite ironically. I haven't seen my sister for years. Maybe it's just 4 or 5 weeks, but we use this sometimes when we mean a very long time, a period that's longer than usual. When we are talking about something that happened many years ago, we say, we can use ago. Spain used to be a very powerful nation. Well, they still are. Spain used to be a very powerful nation and rule the world many years ago. Many years ago. But we can also say, I saw him 5 minutes ago. And this means before. We don't say 5 minutes before in English. You can't say that. Instead, you would say ago. So, I was there 5 minutes ago. June called me 5 minutes ago. Just to be clear. Ago. We use before when we are talking about, how could I say, before a certain occasion. So, I got up before sunrise. I got up before sunrise. Or I started work before 10 o'clock. So you can see there's a little difference. We can't use ago in this situation, and again we can't use before in the way that we use before. You'll have to contact somebody on this account maybe, or use the email address after the lesson, not directly to me, and maybe we can arrange something. But yes, I do Skype lessons. 2. We only really use to related to time when we are talking about minutes to the hour or minutes until an event. For example, the time is 20 to 5. The time is 20 to 5. Or it's half an hour to the event. Or it takes 20 minutes to get to this location. On the opposite side, we can also use past. Hello. We can use past in the opposite way when we're talking about time, and we say it's 20 past the hour. So I was late for work. I got there at 20 past 9. The last one, no, I've got 2 more. We have bye. And I don't mean bye as in goodbye. I mean bye. So when we use by related to time, it means something like approximately. So I will be there by midday. She said she's coming by 5. So by, it means 5 or 10 minutes around the actual time that you talk about. So it could be 5 to 5, 5 past 5, maybe even 10 past 5 if you're fashionably late. And finally, we talk about until. Until. We use until when we are talking about up until that time. So I can say, I will be here until 5 o'clock. I will be here until 5 o'clock. So that means after 5 o'clock, I won't be here, but I will be here at the latest till 5 o'clock. Some people can get confused by that. And if you think about it, because by and until can be quite confusing. So, for example, I'll be at home by 5 o'clock, but I will stay at work until 4:30. So it's a little bit different. Yes, I thought this might take a little bit of time. But yes, so they were time prepositions. Now let's talk a little bit about preposition of place, which is also very confusing. So, first of all, let's talk about, I think in maybe. Okay, in. When we talk about in, related to place, then if you think of, for example, I've got a prop. So if you think of this, if you look at this box and you look at it as being, let's say, a house or a building, and then you have something that's in, then this will be in. So we say, she's in the building, he's in his house, or if you also think of an area, so it can be a park, it could be a field, it could be the centre of town, we use in as well. So she's in the park playing with her dog. Jeremy is in town at the moment. So you have the area and the person actually in the area. We use in to explain this. In the park, in town, in a building. Let's see, am I missing something with in? Yes, so in enclosed space, we always say in. Also, and I need to talk about this because this is very confusing for some people, when we are talking about transport, forms of transport, we say in a car, we say in a taxi, we say in a helicopter, we say in a lift. We actually say in a boat. Now don't get confused because we say in a boat, but if it's a ship, we say on. So in a boat, there's a bird in the sky, and she goes shopping in Oxford Street. So let me repeat those. In a car, in a taxi, in a helicopter, in a boat, in a lift. In a lift, in America, they would say elevator, elevator. So in an elevator, in the sky, in the sea, I forgot to say in the sea, in a street, so in Oxford Street, in the centre of town. When it comes to forms of transport with on, we say on a bus, not in a bus, on a bus. Now, it's quite interesting because when you say on, when it comes to place, normally you think of something being on top of something. For example, here, the remote control is on the box, on. And this is true, but not when we talk about forms of transport. So when I say somebody's on a bus, it does not mean that they are sitting on top of the bus. It means they can actually be inside of the bus, but we say on a bus. On a bus, on a train, on a plane, and if you understand, if you are on top of a train, on top of a plane, it could be very dangerous. On a ship, on a bike, on a motorbike or motorcycle, an animal, so you can be on a horse or on a camel, on a donkey, and I can't think of any more forms of transport. Yes, I think that's pretty much all of them. In a space shuttle or in a rocket, if you have the opportunity. Okay, so I said that we are talking about an enclosed space. That's why we say things like, I have some wonderful flowers in my garden. She lives in Paris. He has been in France for many years. He put the remote control, this time, in the box. I have money in my pocket. I have money in my wallet. There are many people in the building. Now, when we talk about on, we talk about on a surface. So we say on the wall. There is a picture on the wall. Whoops. On the ceiling. He hangs a light on the ceiling. On the door. There is a handle on the door. On the floor. He is standing on the floor. Also on the carpet. The dog made a mess on the carpet. If you if you read in, you have words on a page. On a page, and we can say that there's information on the menu, but we can also say in the menu, because if you think of it, you open the menu and you see things. It's like you're going inside. So you say on the menu or in the menu. At, we haven't mentioned yet. So we say, okay, this is a little bit confusing. We can say at the corner, but we can also say in the corner. But this is a little different. I need to use my prop. Okay, so for example, this is a corner, and it could be the corner of a road. So now, if I'm waiting this side, then I will be at the corner. So I could say, I'll meet you at the corner of Oxford Street. At the corner. Now, it's also possible to say in the corner. Now, when we say in the corner, this actually means that if this is the corner, you're inside. So if I was standing here, I would be in the corner. So when I was a kid, if somebody used to be bad in the class, the teacher used to say, go and stand in the corner. So they would go in the corner. If the teacher would say, go and stand at the corner, that would mean that the child would have to go outside the class and stand in some corner, probably outside the school, which wasn't allowed. So in the corner and at the corner, slightly different. The inside corner, in. The outside corner, at. We say that we wait for a bus at the bus stop. At the bus stop. Now, I said that there is a handle. Very welcome. There is a handle on the door, but if somebody rings or knocks, Then you say, there's somebody at the door. So, oh, the delivery man is at the door. The delivery man is at the door. We talk about words at the top of the page, or information I should say, at the top or at the bottom. So you can find the price at the top of the page. Please sign at the bottom of the page. We talk about being at the top of the road. There is a supermarket at the top of the road. We also say at the end of the road. We can say at the top or the bottom of the page, at the top or at the beginning or at the end of the road. We say at the entrance, so at the entrance to the building, at the front door, at the front desk, at the front of something. He's at the front of the queue, or she's at the back of the queue. There's a lot. Any questions? I'll give you some more examples. Okay. Jane is waiting for you at the bus stop. The shop is at the end of the street. The shop is at the end of the street. Hello, welcome. When will you arrive at the office? When will you arrive at the office? I have a meeting in New York. I have a meeting in New York. The author's name is on the cover of the book. The author's name is on the cover of the book. You are standing on my foot. Ouch. You are standing on my foot. I live on the 7th floor at 21 Oxford Street in London. I live on the 7th floor at 21 Oxford Street in London. Yes, very important. When we talk about the floor that you're on, we say on the first floor, on the second floor. In UK we say on the ground floor. I know in some countries they don't use ground, they go straight to one. But ground floor is, well, ground floor, the very bottom. What is the difference between at the street and in the street? Well, normally we say in the street. But we can say at the top of the street or at the bottom of the street. But there is a car in the street. So, for example, there is a park at the top of the street, and there is a cinema at the bottom of the street, and there is a blue car in the street now. But we can say at street level. At street level, that means ground floor. Okay, so I think we should move on to verbs plus prepositions. Okay, I hope the examples helped you. Now, there we have verbs plus prepositions, and then we have phrasal verbs, slightly different. Certain verbs, I should say certain prepositions, are connected to certain verbs, and we use them all the time. For example, we always say listen to something. You're welcome. Listen to something. So listen to me, listen to music. And so this is why the preposition to is connected to listen. So I'm going to go through a few of the more common, verbs that are connected to prepositions. So we say introduce to. Introduce to. I would like to introduce you to my brother. Introduce to. Refer to. Refer to. I would like to refer you to my manager. I would like to refer you to my manager. Respond to. Respond to. Nobody responded to what I said. Nobody responded to what I said. Respond to. From. From. Protect somebody from somebody or something else. The parents wanted to protect their children from all the bad things in the world. Protect from. Recover from. Recover from. His grandmother has recovered from a very bad illness. His grandmother has recovered from a very bad illness. Save from. Save from. The brave young boy saved the girl from drowning. The brave boy saved the girl from drowning. And suffer from. Suffer from. I suffer from hay fever. I suffer from hay fever. Okay, we can also look at 4. So, apologize. Apologize for doing something. Now, there's also apologize to. So you apologize to somebody, but you apologize for doing something. So I apologize to you for what I said. I apologize to you for what I said. Now apply, it's the same. I applied to the company, but I applied for the job. Apply for a job. You can also apply for a loan, apply for a mortgage, apply for an extension, apply for, but you apply to somebody for this. How do you ask for? Ask for something. So how do you ask for a cup of coffee in Russian? How do you ask for a cup of coffee in Russian? You don't need to answer because I won't understand anyway. How do you ask for a cup of coffee in Russian? And you can ask somebody as well. So ask somebody for something. So he asked his teacher for help. He asked his teacher for help. To care for somebody. There are two ways. Hi guys, welcome. There are two ways that we can talk about care for. If there is somebody that you are close to, you have strong feelings for them, then you care for them. So she cares for her boyfriend. He cares for his wife. This is a normal situation. But also, if you think of a more medical situation, then you can care for somebody. So the nurse cares for her patients. It doesn't mean that the nurse is emotionally attached, but her job is to care for them. She looks after them. She makes sure that they are well, healthy, comfortable, and this is when you care for somebody as well. So we can say she spent many years caring for her old parents. She spent many years caring for her old parents, and this means looking after them, but she cares so much about her parents. And prepare. We say prepare for something. So I have to prepare for my examination, or I have to prepare for work tomorrow. Prepare for. In. Believing. To believe in. If you like Peter Pan, then you may understand, do you believe in fairies? Do you believe in ghosts? But it doesn't have to be all fantasy. We can say, I believe in you. I believe in you. Or it can be negative. I don't believe in the government. I don't believe in the government. Specialize in. Specialize in. Samson specialized in mobile and smart devices. Samson specialized in mobile and smart devices. Succeed. We want to succeed in everything we do. She is determined to succeed in English. She is determined to succeed in English. Succeed in. On. The film is based on. Based on. The film is based on a true story. The film is based on a true story. The biography is based on his life. The biography is based on his life. Concentrate. Concentrate. They were playing the music so loudly I couldn't concentrate on my studies. Concentrate on. Rely on. Rely on. I can really rely on my best friend. I can really rely on my best friend. Now many people, I'm not sure why, they make mistakes when they use depend. They say depend of. I don't know why. Maybe it's just, it sounds better, but it should also be depend on. Depend on. So you can always depend on me. Depend on. Not depend off. Depend on. Agree. Agree on something. So we agreed on a time to meet. We agreed on a time to meet. But you can also say agree to. I agree to help you. I agree to help you. So agree on and agree to. See what I can add. Okay, you agree with, we done that, so let's maybe, yes, move to phrasal verbs. Okay, so I'm going to concentrate on some of the more common phrasal verbs. Let's see which ones I should tell you. Okay, cut back on. Okay, we have cut back on. Cut back on. This means to take less of something. Example. The doctor told me to cut back on fatty food. The doctor told me to cut back on fatty food. Cut back on. Cut in. Cut in. When you cut in, then you are interrupting a conversation. So maybe two people are talking and I need to tell them something important. So, sorry, I need to cut in. I need to tell you something. So you interrupt their conversation and you cut in. Cut off. Well, cut off can mean literally to cut something off. But, so to remove something. He had to, I don't know, cut off something that's not necessary. The doctor cut off his leg. His leg is necessary. But the doctor cut off his leg to save his life. The doctor cut off his leg to save his life. Put off. Put off. When we put something off, we postpone it, or it's been postponed. So the concert has been put off until a later date. The concert has been put off until a later date. Now, this doesn't mean that it's been cancelled. Cancelled means that it will not happen. It means that it's been postponed, so it will happen at a later date. Put into. Put into. Now, the difference between in and into is when we are talking about into, we're talking about the action, the movement. So, for example, if you can see me, I put the remote control into the box. I put the remote control into the box. Now the remote control is in the box. So put into is the action. So another example, she ran into the water. She ran into the water. And now she is in the water. So think of into as the action, the motion going into. easy one for you guys. Put on. Now, put on isn't the opposite of put off, so it doesn't mean to postpone, but we say put on when we are talking about clothing. It could be a hat, could be shoes. Put on your clothes, put on your shoes, put on a hat. And we have put back. Put back. We use put back when we are returning something to its original place. So, can I borrow your book? Yes, of course. Put it back when you're finished. Put it back when you're finished. So, put back. Put on, put in. This one's a little bit sad, but anyway. Put down. Two meanings for this. Put down. When you put something down, he put his cup down on the table. But also, we use this phrasal verb when we are talking about a pet that has become too ill, and the best thing to do is to, I won't say put it to sleep. So we're actually going to take the animal's life, and we use this expression. My dog was so sick, we had to put it down. So put down an animal. Put up. Not many people know this one. There's two meanings. You can put something up. So, for example, I can put my hands up. I can, when we are toasting to people, we say, put up your glasses to this. It's like a toast when we say cheers. But you can also put somebody up. SB, somebody. When we, hello there, you're coming right at the end, but nice that you made it. When we say put somebody up, that means we are giving them accommodation, giving them somewhere to stay. So my brother's visiting next week, and I'm going to put him up for a few days. Doesn't mean I'm going to hold him up like that. It means that I'm going to allow him to stay with me for a few days. So to put him up. A few more, I think. I'm very well, thank you. How are you? Call off. Call off. So put off means to postpone. Call off, cancel. So they called off the wedding. No wedding is going to happen. If they put off the wedding, then the wedding will happen a little bit later. But if they called off the wedding, then yeah, no wedding. And I guess it's nice if they're not in love. But who knows? Okay. Before any questions before I finish. Oh, I can see my time is running up, so I'd like to thank all of you for coming today. It's been a pleasure. Have a wonderful day, and I look forward to seeing you next week. Next week we're back here on Mondays. Take care, all of you, and see you soon. Bye.